Good afternoon, everyone. welcome,
Hello.
welcome to another episode of Nick Files. Although this is once again pretty much a Nick File slash crossover with To the Grave and Back. So that this is Lois is going to be joining me once again. Wayne, unfortunately, in this case, will not be able to make it once again this week because he had stuff going on with his family. If that's correct, Lois.
Yep, he has. He's got his family over for Greece.
And then Rosie, we're not sure what happened to her. She somehow disappeared, and we don't know the full detail. Hopefully, we'll hear back from her soon. But for now, it's just going to be the two of us. We had an issue last week with part two of the slideshow that I was presenting because today, for starters, today we're going to continue on with covering the super outbreak of April 3rd and 4th, 1974. We had an issue last week where we're not still fully aware of what happened, but somehow part two got, I guess to say, mysteriously deleted. I really don't know how that happened. Lois was the one who told me about that. And
Yeah, I mean, I was up there late night thinking to myself, oh, I'll go and watch part two. Vanished, poof, gone.
but I normally I don't say it this way. Perhaps maybe that in some way it's kind of a blessing in disguise because what was funny was right after I did the show, I uncovered more photographs and footage involved in the super outbreak, and I actually was able to make the slideshow even better than what it was before and even more detailed. So, if you missed last week, it's no big deal. We're going to start over with part two or where we left off from last week. And it's going to be even better than it was before. Just before we get started, let's give some quick shout outs to everyone. Hello, Nigel. Good to see you. What's up, Irene?
Hey, Irene. Hey, Nigel.
Hi, Noreen.
Hey, Noreen.
Hey,
Ernie.
Ernie, you made it. Ernie actually suggested something that I was able to find and add for the slideshow, which we're actually going to be
Oh,
listening to a radio recording that I'm familiar with, but I never really found the individual recording before this. I only ever heard it on documentaries. They now have the full thing on YouTube, so I was able to make a copy of it, and now I got it on the slideshow. So you're going to hear some really interesting stuff in the later part of the slideshow. According to what Irene said, I guess she tried watching part two. It didn't want to be watched or revealed. That's odd.
maybe there's a reasoning behind it. Maybe it's the fact that it knew you had so much to add that it's probably went maybe a blessing in disguise because you wouldn't have found that information until next year.
Yeah. Thank you, Irene. Appreciate sharing. And speaking of sharing, just one final thing before we continue where we were from last week. I'm going to share this to the Super Outbreak page because it is going to take at least a few minutes for the video to be approved. Because I know there were people that were watching it or were trying to watch it last week, but they were unable to. So just give me a second here while I send the link out.
Yep, I'm just sharing out as well to as many places as I can.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing for the Super Outbreak page.
Yep.
And like I said, it's going to be it might take a couple minutes because this is one of those pages that it has to be approved by the admin. Okay. Oh, and Irene apparently says grief has a way of being deleted.
Yeah, I know it's no good. It's not so good.
Okay, so I got this. So now I got the slideshow ready to go. I also have something else I'd like to reveal, and this was actually in the early part of the slideshow that we did when we were covering it last week. Lois, you remember when I was talking about the tornado that hit Fountaintown, Indiana, one of the first tornadoes that struck during the day? Remember I was saying about that? Well, guess what? I'm just going to go back for just a quick second. I found a rare photograph of that tornado. That is the Fountaintown tornado in Indiana.
Oh.
From a newspaper article. So
Oh wow. Where did you find that newspaper article?
I think I found it on one of the other websites, because there were numerous websites that were going around practically, sharing about the super outbreak for the 50th anniversary, which is no surprise at all, because there were numerous, like I said, commemorations, events. It was all over several several areas where, the news, like where the most severely affected tornadoes were, and there were websites that were commemorating for it. So I never seen that photograph before until then. So I mean, until recently. So that was quite a
Oh,
find.
oh wow. I take it, I mean, obviously in Britain, it's no easy to find stuff, but in America it seems to be a lot easy. Like you can go on Google and just type in anything and Bob's your uncle.
Well, and before there used to be very limited information about, in this case, several of the tornadoes. A lot of times they only focus on the ones that were at the worst hits. Now we're uncovering more information about the one that, the lesser known tornadoes, the very first ones that hit during the day. What's up,
Oh
Mimi?
wow.
Good to see you.
Hey Mimi.
Irene here says, just heard it, didn't want to be seen by anyone, by the spirit gods. That's interesting.
That is really interesting.
So now, without further ado, because I just wanted to go back for just a quick sec. Now we're going to continue on where we left off. So far, I actually counted how many tornadoes we've covered so far. As a reminder, we're not covering exactly every single one, considering that there were 148 of them. But we're going to focus on, quite a lot of them. But the most notorious ones and some of the lesser ones. And this is where we left off. So far, we've actually covered 9 different tornadoes. And the worst is yet to come. It's going to get a lot more intense. So the last one we were talking about was the DePaul tornado. That was the first F5 tornado that struck during the day. But now, soon after the DePaul tornado lifted, another tornado, an F4, formed just southwest of Chelsea in Jefferson County, Indiana, at 4:20 p.m. It then moved northeast moved northeast of Henryville and traveled through Jefferson County, passing near Nab, and leveled many structures in the small towns of Hanover and Madison. Oh, and real quick, sorry to just cut myself off. The admin just approved of the page, so it is now officially on the Super Outbreak page.
Smashing. I hope we get that young lady that came in.
Yeah.
The last time.
So it was passing near Nab and leveled many structures in the small towns of Hanover and Madison as it tracked for 27 miles. One person was killed in Scott County. The tornado then moved into Jefferson County, heading towards Hanover. Path was 3/4 to almost also a mile wide, which it's kind of hard to believe that this was a mile wide, considering this photograph that I have of it, because it's believed that 2 tornadoes may have actually been traveling side by side for a portion of this path, which would give it that mile-wide path. So that's why it doesn't look as big as you would think it is. So these are definitely quite amazing photographs.
Mm-hmm.
And it says then it was reported that the 2 tornadoes merged going into Hanover. The observer probably saw the clouds of debris merge and not the tornadoes themselves. According to a WHAS-TV Louisville reporter, in a special report about the outbreak, 90% of Hanover was destroyed or severely damaged, including the Hanover College campus. Hanover College was torn apart with a few students injured. Despite the fact that no one was killed or seriously injured at the college, 32 of the college's 33 buildings were damaged, including 2 that were completely destroyed and 6 that sustained major structural damage. Hundreds of trees were down, completely blocking every campus road. All utilities were knocked out, and communication with those off campus was nearly impossible. Damage to the campus alone was estimated at $10 million. No homes were leveled there, but the tornado intensified as it passed north of Madison. In Madison alone, where 7 of the fatalities took place, about 300 homes were destroyed along the northern edge of town. Many of the homes that were leveled were actually the most expensive in the county. Continuing to the northeast, the F4 tornado also brushed the northwest side of the community of China, causing additional fatalities. The tornado then moved northwest, of Canaan, where it lifted, ending 3 miles west of Cross Plains at 4:50 p.m., lasting 40 minutes. So this is another rare photo I found of it. So that's another recent found. And like I said, okay, I accidentally added some of that same info. Hanover College was torn apart and suffered $10 million in damage. A total of 11 people were killed in the storm, while an additional 300 were injured. The same storm would later strike the Cincinnati, Ohio area, producing multiple tornadoes, including another F5 tornado. Now, before we continue on to the next one, once again, I got some photographs of the Hanover tornado. It's obviously these were taken by the same photographer.
Oh my God.
And this really has that classic supercell look, because you can, once again, you could clearly see the wall cloud. That's the wall cloud right there. You have what's known over here as the, it's often called the beaver's tail. And then and with the wall cloud, I mean, just the shape of it, it looks like a layer of a layer cake just kind of hanging out from the sky. And then right below that, that's where the actual tornado is located. So, and then of course it becomes a lot more detailed as it touches down on the ground.
It's actually, do you know what I've noticed? Obviously, for the first picture is you can quite tell that there's more than obviously one tornado.
It was believed, they didn't say specifically for this tornado, but it is possible this tornado may have been a multiple vortex tornado. And I got a few more photographs. This is when it starts getting a lot closer, and you could really start seeing the details of it, especially this one on the right. I don't know if that's a farmhouse or if that's a horse stable. I'm not sure exactly what's to the side, but it's definitely out in a farm area.
Yeah.
And it does look, like at first glance, especially this one, it doesn't really look like it's that strong. It looks like nothing but just, a cloud of dust that's going around. Either the tornado at that time was either still in a rather weakened state before it really intensified, or nonetheless, it still could have been extremely strong at its F4 status. And once again, that's something you don't want to be in, because whoever that photographer was, he definitely got some great shots, but had that tornado get closer to him, he would have been in real serious trouble at that point.
He would have been, and it's not just that. You just think these people who are taking these pictures, like, they are brave souls. They are brave souls.
They are. Well, and you also have to remember, because this was back in the 70s, there weren't really that many images or photographs or even video of tornadoes as it is now. So taking photographs at that time was relatively rare. And also another difference was this was at a time where you could even sell your photographs. You could actually make money off of these, because again, it was kind of a rare find. They weren't like what we use with our iPhones nowadays. You had to really, you had to have a big camera. You had to be at a good spot to take these incredible photographs.
It's like Kodiak, the old Kodiak pictures that you used to get.
yeah, like Kodak. That's right. Now, this is when I think the tornado moved away. It's a little bit hard to see because it's kind of blurry. But here is some other photos. Obviously, these are in black and white. A little bit hard to see, but you can definitely see. It's kind of hard to tell. I think this may actually be the funnel cloud. Or maybe, actually, no, I think this is the funnel. It looked like it from at first.
I was going to say, I think it's the middle one. It's the funnel, because you can, like, how, like, it comes shaped like a body glass. Like, the way to describe it, like a tornado, the way I see a tornado is it's like a body glass. You can see, like, the hip, the sort of the rib area. So I would say the second one's definitely the funnel.
I just looked at Ernie's comment here saying, fortunately,
Y-
most of these tornadoes hit farmland or lesser populated areas, but if you went through right through highly populated areas, which we're
I,
about to get to.
I can imagine. Hi, Bloodstains and Broomsticks podcast. I like that name. Bloodstains and Broomsticks. I like that one. I think that's pretty cool.
Now, I think these are the last ones of Madison. These are obviously, you can see these are a little bit hard to see because they were taken behind some trees. But this is when the tornado went right through the heart of Madison. And it's just crazy to think there's cars still driving by. I think there's somebody standing right outside. It's kind of crazy to see that, but you still kind of wonder, like, are these people well aware of what's going through their town of Madison?
I like the fact, what I like of the pictures is I like the colours with the red, like the sort of, how to describe it, it's like, I've seen it before, like that effect before, it's on an Instagram filter, but I can't remember what one, I think it's vintage, and that's what I actually quite like about that picture, because it gives you, it's almost like the old negatives that you get out the camera.
Yeah. But again, I mean, that was the type of film that sometimes you had, back in the 70s.
Park Channel says, let me try this again. Hello, Nick. Love having you back on. They also said we had a Phillips 66 sign fly through our picture window in our front room in Garden City, Kansas.
Whoa, geez.
Oh, geez.
That's crazy.
Mm.
So moving forward, okay, I think we got one more less known, then we get to the real major one. So among them, another tornado formed immediately as the Madison-Hanover tornado was dissipating. This tornado was probably one of the two that emerged at Hanover. It then continued east-northeast of Madison, mostly on the ground at Bear Branch, and disappeared into the clouds just southwest of Aurora in Dearborn County at 4:15 p.m. Homes were leveled near the Fairview area, with a church also sustaining heavy damage near Bear Branch. It was then reported bouncing along the Indiana foothills just north of Aurora at 4:20 p.m. and then crossing into Kentucky between Aurora and Lawrenceburg at 4:25 p.m. Two paths were evident anywhere from 1/4 to a half-mile apart at times along this track. There was also reports of up to 3 funnels at one time, once again indicating a possible multiple vortex structure. Each funnel was reported to be 300 yards wide. The tornado then abruptly dissipated after being on the ground for 27 miles. Now, now this is where things get even more fascinating. So during this whole course, more tornadoes continue to break out across the Midwest, the Ohio River Valley, and parts of the South. During the peak of the outbreak, get this, a staggering 16 tornadoes were on the ground simultaneously. So 16 of them completely on the ground.
Where would tornado chasers know where to start if there's 16 going all off at once?
Exactly.
The little brother, oh my God, my little brother was sitting under the window. Holy God.
Wait, what? Hang on a second.
Podcasting for All Coming Together channel, my little brother was sitting under the window. Remember when the Phillips 66 sign went flying through the window? That one, sorry.
That's nuts.
Oh, I hope he wasn't harmed.
Yeah, I hope he was all right.
Oh, but 16 tornadoes all going off at once. Oh my God.
And it gets even more intense because at one point, forecasters in Indiana, frustrated because they could not keep up with all the simultaneous tornado activity, put the entire state of Indiana under a blanket tornado warning. This would mark the first and only time in U.S. history that an entire state was under a tornado warning. So it was even they put a warning out for even in other parts of the state of Indiana that wasn't even affected by the outbreak.
Oh, I can even imagine. And it must have been scary, like for all these states that did suffer the super outbreak, um, to be, oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm glad, God bless, that he was perfectly fine. I'm glad
that's good to
it could have
know.
went the other way.
So, as many tornadoes as there were at this point, perhaps the strongest and most famous tornado of them all is the one that hit Xenia, Ohio. The tornado that struck the city of Xenia, Ohio, stands as the deadliest individual tornado of the 1974 super outbreak, killing 32 people and destroying a significant portion of the town. This is what it looked like at its very early stage in development. It doesn't look much like a threat at first, and most residents are completely unaware. Like many other communities in 1974, Xenia, with a population of 25,000, doesn't have tornado sirens. Now, at 4:30 p.m. at Bellbrook, 5 miles southwest of Xenia, two funnels drop from the sky. They collide, first beginning as a moderate sized funnel before intensifying and becoming a single massive twister that stretches up to a half-mile wide and moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. And it is heading straight for Xenia and its 25,000 residents. The
Oh
tornado
my God.
exhibited a multiple vortex structure, which was described as a pair of funnels coming together and becoming very large as it approached town. Gil Whitney, the weather specialist for WHIO TV in Dayton, alerted viewers in Montgomery and Greene counties, where Xenia is located, about the possible tornado, broadcasting the radar image of the supercell with a pronounced hook echo on the rear flank of the storm several minutes before it struck. The storm was visible on radar because of raindrops wrapping around the circulation. And check this out. I have that radar video.
Oh, amazing. I can't wait to see.
Um, not sure what's going on here. Wait, hang on one second. For some reason, it's not showing up. Here, give me a minute.
I'll quickly
That's
read this comment. And it
Yeah.
says,
Go
my
ahead.
family drove through Senna about a month after that storm. It was incredible how wide that path was.
It was bad. It was huge. And I've been to Xenia myself. I went a few years ago. And what's actually fascinating about when I went to Xenia was we ran, and this was not something we were expecting. We ran into two elderly residents who were actual survivors of the Xenia tornado. At that time, they were like in their late teens or early 20s when back in '74. But I actually had the opportunity to sit down and interview these two guys, and the stories they told me, it was like they remembered it like it was just yesterday. They were telling me about it almost like as if they just heard about it on the news, saying, "Oh, the tornado that went through here in Xenia, man, oh man, that was horrible." It was just the stories are incredible that they gave me.
Xenia, where is that in America, if you don't mind me asking?
That's in Ohio. That's not
Ohio.
far from the yeah, that's not far from Dayton. It's help me out here, Ernie. I think it's not too far from the. Well, I mean, it's still further north, but I think it's down in southern Ohio, if I'm correct. I
Ah,
actually,
it's, I'll tell you, in America, yous have got beautiful names for state, for different parts of the state. I think it's a really nice. When I read it myself, I was like, oh, that
yeah,
sounds like a wee place I would live in. Senior.
it's in southeastern Ohio. Yeah,
Southeastern Ohio. That's
yep, just a bit
up
north of Dayton.
north of Dayton.
So now I got the video. So now I got the video working. So I guess it was because I
Awesome.
moved it. There's no sound to it, fortunately, so we don't have to worry about any sound. But here, this is the actual radar I found. On one second. Can you see anything?
No,
That's weird. It was working just the other day. um, it's not sure why it's doing
technology.
that. Yeah, you go.
Technology.
Okay, I'm just gonna have to probably do it this way because for some reason it's not cooperating with me. So what I'm going to do Okay, hang on a second. Okay, Zach just said something.
Aye. I drove through Oklahoma after a funnel that levelled eastern Oklahoma. Growing up in Tornado Alley, Andrea and I didn't panic like others do, but we also know they're not nothing to play around with, definitely without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't think, to be honest, I don't think you guys would ever get over maybe having that wee bit of fear. I mean, I know you live in where Tornado Alley is, but you'll always have it in the back of your minds. I don't think you ever get used to that, you know.
You know, it's like unless you live in like Tornado Alley, like you've grown accustomed to them. Like, you know, if you live in states like Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, you know, tornadoes are practically a part of life over there. But if you're living in states that don't really have as many of them, you know, it does catch you completely off guard.
Oh, I can only imagine. That's why I always say that I'm always lucky living in the UK, because it's very rare that, well, you do get tornadoes over in the UK, but it's zero, maybe up to an F1. That's about the luckiest that you'll have. But I couldn't imagine living somewhere where you've got to fear the most worst of tornadoes and F4 or F5s.
Right. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I found a
It's
different
like
way
an
of
airport in New York's accent.
Yep.
Not normal.
Okay, so I got the video ready again. I don't know why it's not playing on PowerPoint, but I got it ready. Now the quality's not the best, so I do apologize for it, but here it is. This is the
No
radar.
problem.
Are you able to see it this time?
Yep, able to see it, my love.
And right there, that's the Hook Echo, which was quite a rare sight for these type of radar, you know, back in the day. But that familiar Hook Echo is where, again, the quality's not the best, but you could see it's heading right toward the town of Xenia.
Do you know, when I see these, I think you've been in a submarine. I can hear the beeping in my head.
I mean, it was during a time like, as I mentioned last week, you know, these were originally used by the Air Force, but they were good at detecting planes or enemy aircraft, not
Yeah,
tornadoes necessarily. See,
you can
that's,
see it moving in them.
yeah, it has almost like a 6 kind of look to it, 6 Hook Echo.
Yeah.
So that's quite an impressive piece of radar. Now, let me get this back up, the rest of the slideshow. Now, things are to go more into a lot more detail. Oh, 1 second. Once I get this, see, it's always a little bit more difficult getting the slideshow back up, you know, on the desktop. Okay, here we go.
I think you do a better job than I would try to do a slideshow.
Yeah. Now these are better satellite imagery of the storm that produced the Xenia tornado. It's a little bit hard to tell from these two photos, but right here, this one has that Hook Echo again.
You can see it a lot more clearly in the third one.
That's the other thing too. Unlike the video, this is also a lot more clear imagery. And then I got a few more of these. These were more in this was from the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And this was kind of more detecting, I believe, the barometric pressure, so you can't really see much of the detail. But it does show, you know, some of the details of the actual barometric pressure at that point. So, again, you can't really see too well of the Hook Echo. But now as we continue moving forward, these are now more focusing on the storm itself. Oh, yeah, this one points out. This is the tornado. That's the tornado right there.
Oh, wow. I like looking at these pictures because it's great to see how technology was back then, and how it is now when it comes to weather.
Right. Oh, this is probably the last pictures I have of the radar. Yeah, now this is the elevation.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is all from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton.
Yeah, that's what Ernie's saying is that Wright Patterson is not far at all from Zena.
That's correct. So to go in more detail of the tornado, the extent of the damage, like when it first struck, is unknown. Less than this. I don't really talk too much about like those that I didn't want to make it so fully detailed, like where I had to include every survivor's story. But this guy, this story I'm about to bring up, this is a story that for anyone that's heard about the Xenia tornado, this is a survivor story that you don't often hear very much. I thought this was pretty phenomenal. Less than a half mile to the northeast, the Howard Pewter Bog and Horace Wright residences off Spare Road were struck. Now get this guy Horace Wright, Horace was the nephew of aviation pioneers Orville and Wilbur Wright, the Wright brothers.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. In a follow-up article on April 11th, the Dayton Daily News stated that he and his wife Susan were at home when they heard the howling winds. The Wrights moved into the front hallway. So I got a message. Per the paper, the wall separating the living room from the rec room collapsed, and their garage was wrecked. Even though they had extensive damage, the couple was relieved to see that all their Wright brothers' memorabilia had survived.
Oh,
That,
thank God.
that would have been a major loss, for that family's history. At least 10 people were injured with cuts and bruises in this part of Greene County. Information is scarce over the next few miles, though the coarse aerial imagery available indicates that the multiple vortex tornado grew even larger and more powerful, as you can see in this photo. Beyond Spare Road, if I'm saying that correctly, 2 dwellings on Washington Mill Road were hit. A mile and a half northeast, 5 farmsteads were left in tatters on McPherson and Van Eaton roads. Some of these were completely destroyed, and a steel transmission tower was left in a mangled heap. The twister traveled another mile before arriving in the more populated neighborhoods of southwest Xenia. Now, this is where the worst occurs. The massive tornado slammed into the western part of Xenia, completely flattening the Windsor Park and Arrowhead subdivisions at F5 intensity and sweeping away entire rows of brick homes, with little debris left behind in some areas. Extensive windrowing of debris occurred in nearby fields. When the storm reached central Xenia at 4:40 p.m., apartment buildings, homes, businesses, churches, and schools, including Xenia High School, which I'm gonna throw in a quick story about that in just a moment, were destroyed. At this time, the tornado was filmed and was observed to have had as many as 5 subvortices merging into one tornado. Students in the school, this is the Xenia High School I just mentioned, who were practicing for a play, took cover in the main hallway seconds before the tornado dropped a school bus onto the stage right where they had been practicing on and extensively damaged the school building. It was
Oh,
the story goes, as I remember, was they're practicing for a play in their drama club, and all of a sudden this one kid runs into the auditorium and tells them that there was a tornado coming. Like typical teenagers, they ran out and went to go see it for themselves because, again, this was at a time where we had iPhones, where it
yeah.
happens now you can take pictures of it with your phone. Back then, you had your only chances of seeing something like that was your own eyes. So they watched it for a little while, and then all of a sudden it made a turn directly towards them. Now, fortunately, school had already been dismissed for the day, but because this was an after-school club, they, along with a few other staff members, were still in the building. And like I said, they ran into the hallway, the tornado struck, and as soon as they went back to the auditorium, that entire auditorium was gone. A bus was right on the stage. I mean, if that student had not run into the auditorium to let them know
The
about the
bus would have
tornado,
landed right on top of them.
oh my God, they all would have died. No, I mean, no doubt about it.
So really that kid saved their life.
She did. She really did. Several railroad cars were lifted and blown over as the monster tornado passed over a Penn Central freight train in the center of town, with wind speeds estimated at up to 300 miles per hour. It toppled headstones in Cherry Grove Cemetery, then moved through the length of the downtown business district, passing west of the courthouse, which sustained some exterior damage. Numerous businesses in downtown Xenia were heavily damaged or destroyed, and several people were killed at the A&W root beer stand as the building was flattened. At the time, this was the state's highest tornadic death toll for a single building since 1953. It takes 9 minutes for the tornado to tear through Xenia. The destruction at the Windsor Park and Arrowhead subdivisions is monumental in several ways. This is some of the information I didn't have from last week, so I'm glad I added this. One, the most concentrated human toll from this death toll from this tornado was in these neighborhoods. Two, the damage here was the worst of the entire path. Rows of homes were reduced to bare concrete slabs with debris grounded to small pieces and smeared into the earth. Vehicles were hurled through the air in every direction. Despite many taking the best sheltering actions available, the mortality rates were high near the center of the vortex. In Windsor Park, 10 people, including an unborn baby, died at 7 separate houses within just 250 yards of one another. All of those who died had taken shelter by the time it hit, often barricading themselves with mattresses and furniture in interior rooms and hallways. All 7 homes were completely obliterated and were within or mere feet from Fujita's F5 damage swaths. 2 more people were also killed in Arrowhead on the other side of US 35. Across Windsor Park and Arrowhead combined, roughly 300 houses had some level of damage and hundreds were injured. Now, at this point, the giant F5 twister has already decimated hundreds of homes and businesses. The Xenia tornado was recorded. Now this you're going to like. This is probably the most notorious part of this tornado. The Xenia tornado was recorded on film by one resident, and its sound was recorded on tape by a Mr. Brooks Shoulder from inside an apartment complex. Before the tornado hit the building, the resident left the tape recorder on, and it was found after the storm. At the same time, a few blocks away, Bruce Boyd, a young 16-year-old high school student, grabbed a Super 8 8mm movie camera, a pre-1973 model without sound recording capability, and films as it's coming. 3 minutes and 21 seconds of footage were captured. The footage was later paired with the nearby tape recording. Boyd's film shows multiple vortices within the larger circulation as the storm swept through Xenia. Past downtown, the tornado continued into the Pinecrest Garden District, which was extensively affected. That footage, here it is. I got it right here.
Oh, is this the footage?
This is it. Now, there is sound to it, so let me know if you could hear anything.
I will do.
Give it just a few seconds. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on one sec. Did you hear anything yet?
No, yet. No, it's no went off the title. Right, quickly, Chris Binder says, "Beef stick, Nick, what's up?" And Emily said it peeled up the sod in Xenia.
The sod in Xenia. Yep, that's correct.
Xenia. But no, I didn't. I take it didn't. Oh no, it's no video. It's just audio. Well,
here, hold on one second. I'm going to try something else because I'm not sure why the footage is not working. So what I'm just going to do real quick is I'm just going to close out the document and then just reopen it and see if that works this time. Let me make sure.
Joe says, "Hello, how the hell? How the hell?
What's
how
up,
the
Joe?
hell are you? Hiya, Joe."
Hold on one second. I think I might have gotten it working. Give me just a second here.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear it.
Oh, we got it. Here we go. Yeah, I guess okay, so we're to know next time if I have this issue, I just need to close out the document and then just reopen it. So let's try this again.
Awesome.
Now, this piece of footage, by the way, this is, and I'm sure Ernie knows this already, this piece of footage is quite a very piece of popular footage. It has been used in dozens of educational films and has been in numerous tornado documentaries. I told you, I have a full collection of different storm documentaries from the 90s, and that footage is often used very frequently. So we got the picture, but let me just make sure that just tell me if you could hear the sound.
I will do.
So let's try this again. Any what?
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
So I got one other solution. This seems to really work out, and this gets the sound to work. I know,
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm gonna share the entire screen. I'm gonna use the entire screen feature, and this will allow us to get the sound. So just let me know. So one more time. One more time.
Third time lucky.
Did you hear it this time?
Yay!
Okay, got
Yay.
it. Here we go. Look at that. It's coming right into Xenia.
So I take it this is before it hits the guy's house, the person's house.
It doesn't hit his house, but it goes dangerously close. You'll see the multiple vortices in just a minute. Look at that. There's someone walking outside.
It's a wee bit windy out here. We'll just ignore the tornado that's going on in the background.
Look at how huge it is.
Oh my god.
That's a monster.
I love
here
watching.
Here comes the mold. Here it comes. Just that roar. Just the sound of the roar it's making.
I would love to hear how loud that is, like, if I had to see it.
Look at the vortices. Look at the vortices. Mini tornadoes.
Oh.
Wow. Wow, now it's at full strength. How close it is. There's the damage aftermath.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
I hate seeing the aftermath because it's always so sad.
It is. It really is. And honestly, when I look at this footage, I mean, it's even more surprising that this was all filmed by a 16-year-old high school student.
Oh, wow.
So moving forward, okay, now this, hang on, let me just see what people are saying in the comments real quick. Sorry for that.
Right, Chris is saying, turn up the volume, laugh my ass off. Hey, Lauren.
Hey, Lauren.
Ernie says they're incredibly loud, I can imagine. Hi, Kate.
Okay, so this next clip I'm going to show. Oh, wait, hang on. Chris here says we get
sorry.
You're good. We get mini tornadoes here. Call them dust dirt devils. I know exactly what those are. Some are smaller than me. Others are like semi-sized. If you've heard of dust devils before, right, Lois?
Treat me like I'm a dummy, because I'm going to act dumb here, because what might be in my head might be totally different.
They are
to what you're thinking.
They're essentially tornadoes that occur over the desert region, but they're not as they're not as strong, and at times are sometimes even harmless, depending on the wind speed on them. People sometimes actually play in them, and they're also known to occur on Mars too. Although on Mars, those are said to be more destructive, but as harmless as most of the time they are, there are some that can get pretty big, and it can get kind of dangerous. So, but they most often occur in the Southwest.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, but I didn't want to sound like dumb, like by saying, "Is this what it is?" sort of thing.
Yeah, also called whirlwinds.
Whirlwinds.
Tony's absolutely right. Yeah.
See, if you said whirlwinds, I would have said, yeah, exactly, I know what they are.
So this next clip I have, this is probably the closest that and we don't really do this very often. Well, I know you're in Colorado, Chris. It's mostly in the Southwest, but you are in the Western region still, just not Southwestern. This next clip that I got here is, I don't really do. What's up, Denise? What are you doing here?
Hey, Denise.
This next clip I have here, this also has sound quality too. This is actually from a film, and this is probably the closest we could really see to what people really felt during this tornado. It was this is probably the closest we've ever seen, when it comes to movies involving the super outbreak. Is a 1 second. This was from a 1978. This is a segment from a 1978 film called Catastrophe, which this is one of these educational films I was mentioning about. And this is hosted and narrated by William Conrad. And so once again, because this was the most famous tornado of the outbreak, they did a segment on it, and you hear different people's accounts of like what they went through, including, as far as I know, might be the only known interview or audio recording of Bruce Boyd, the kid who shot the footage. Now, most of the tornado footage that you're going to see in this film is not the Xenia tornado or any of the or even any of the other tornadoes from the super outbreak. So just wanted to point this out. This is about an 8-minute video, if you don't mind, Lois.
Yep, I'll tell you if it works.
All right, here we go.
Who can see the wind?
Yep, working.
All right. But when the trees are bending down, the wind is passing by.
Does he remind you a bit like Sergeant Slaughter for the wrestling?
Never experienced a tornado.
That's William Conrad.
It was a picture book town in the heart of America. Comfortable old houses surrounded by flowers, quiet shaded streets, and a business section where almost everybody knew almost everybody. Most spring days, the loudest noise was the buzzing of the bees. Xenia, Ohio.
Xenia.
Was
It
totally
looks beautiful.
the wrath
It is.
that was to descend on it and strip the town virtually naked. April 3rd, 1974. The weather had been unsettled all day.
We'll keep you posted as we get further information from the United States Weather Bureau.
By mid-afternoon, tornado conditions were reported in the surrounding countryside.
The severe weather forecast is in effect and will remain in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. Take a look now at these clouds as they...
Just going to pause this for a sec. Now, this footage that you're seeing here, like I said, is not from the super outbreak. This is actually from about 10 years prior in April of 1964 in Wichita Falls, Texas. And this video that you're seeing was the first ever video of a tornado with live sound. So before that and after that, there were any other piece of footage that was shot of a tornado throughout the 60s and 70s, most of the time was silent. So at that time, this was the only footage that had sound quality.
Are forming in the distance. This is looking toward the west-northwest of the Channel 6 studios. You can see a great deal of turbulence in these clouds. They're dipping, falling, rising once again. I don't know what that's from. All in all, it looks now as though we might just have rather severe conditions on our hands. These clouds continue to swirl about us, sometimes dipping, sometimes rising. The winds have picked up considerably in the last few minutes. If you look down near the horizon now, John, this should be to the right of your screen. You'll see some more dust or smoke being picked up. From here, it appears to be along the river bottoms. So there's a great deal of turbulence right within this area. Now we have another appearance of a funnel. Can you swing around and get that, please? That is the funnel jack and a big one.
hollered, "Get to the basement," but it came too fast. I wedged myself behind the stove, and I could hear the nails popping out of the walls before it hit.
It was so huge, it just seemed to be all around us.
Oh, real quick. Denise and Ernie, if you guys are still watching this piece of footage right here, this was shot in Salina, Kansas, just a year before the outbreak in September of 1973. So it probably wasn't too far from where we were from the Masonic Temple. Just wanted to put that out there for them.
Got black as night. The air felt funny, and there was this god-awful noise like a bunch of freight trains.
Sounded like the sky was full of jet airplanes.
It reminded me of a buzzsaw.
Most people take what shelter they can find. Some venture out for a better look at nature on the rampage, unaware that the winds in the center of a twister can spin over 500 miles an hour.
500.
Teenager Bruce Boyd grabs his parents' 8mm camera and points it out the window.
It was spooky, but what a sight. I guess
think
I
that's
didn't
Bruce.
realize till later what could have happened. It wiped out a house just across the street.
Moving through Xenia on a diagonal path that is sometimes a half-mile wide, the tornado strikes at random, smashing some buildings into splinters, but leaving others untouched. Some called it the finger of God, others the tail of the devil. No one
Oh,
could
there's Salina
remember
again.
anything like it. Later, no one wanted to remember.
Oh, bless.
It was just like some big thing pushing at me.
It was funny how quiet the dogs got.
We should all be dead is what?
We lost everything.
But until you've lived through it and seen the real thing, you just have no idea.
Got in the car and went home. I thought it'd be the safest place, but when I got in the door, the house fell in on us.
The tornado that hit Xenia, Ohio, is only one of over 100 twisters that played through 11 states that day, claiming 300 victims before they dissolved.
Wow.
Oh my God, look at the devastation.
Kids are still
Oh my God, man.
they're afraid that maybe another one's gonna come, or maybe they just won't wake up again. They just don't know what to think. It's really scary. As a matter of fact, out here in our backyard, we had a set of blue jays and a set of cardinals, and the squirrel that climbed the tree. There was no birds. All there were was people and trash.
Amazingly, only 33 people lose their lives. 1,000 are injured. Over 2,000 homes are destroyed. Some of the debris is carried 200 miles north before dropping out of the sky.
Oh my God.
An editorial in the Daily Gazette says, "Great communities have come from tragedy." When asked how he was going to start, one old-time resident said, "One stick at a time." Ohio grit will have to see them through. There is very little else left.
we'll make it. The birds are back already. The trees will take longer. The house? We were thinking of building a new one anyway.
So there you have it.
That was
Now-
actually really, really interesting. It really was, that film. And just to see what it was like before and then what it's like after that whole experience, it's absolutely heartbreaking. Quickly, I'll just run through the comments.
Sure.
Watching my friend Nick. Chris said Twister. Twister was a brilliant movie. I'll come back to you in a minute, Chris, with random information. Denise says, Ernie Pack, did you tell him about your grandma during the Battenberg tornado?
Oh, Brandenburg. Really? I didn't know about. No, he hasn't yet.
Joe was 7 in 74. Hey Alison,
Alison.
and Chris has just put up a video, the latest one, to hit close to him. Alison says spirits flying through the skies. Chris said they're so scary. I've had tornadoes literally jump our house and land like less than 100 yards on the other side. That must be scary. Going back to your Twister comment, did you hear? Oh, it's a brilliant movie. Brilliant actor. Really, really like. What's his name? Is it
Oh, Bill Paxton in the movie, or
Bill Paxton? Yeah. They're making a remake, a tornado, Twister. Sorry, I don't think it'll be good. No, with him.
yeah, Twisters, and yeah, I just don't think it's gonna be as. I agree with you. I just don't think it's gonna be as good because first off, unlike the original Twister, which had all these big, well-known name actors, when I saw the previews of it, when it first, because they showed it first on the Super Bowl earlier this year, there was only like one actor that I remember, but when I saw everybody else and I looked them up, I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, I love tornadoes, but I don't think it's ever going to beat the original.
It's the same as Roadhouse. I've not even watched that yet. I don't think it'll be good.
So moving forward, because now I got some pictures to share once again.
Oh,
so now,
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah. So now, in addition to footage, I must warn you, these are actually pretty intense and pretty scary looking pictures of the Xenia tornado. Here, check this out. First, we start off with these black and white ones. You see them, right?
I do see them.
Okay.
Sorry,
Just
I
wanna
was
make sure-
I was just checking them out. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I just wanted to make sure that you could actually see them.
I love the old black and white photos. They're just the best.
They're pretty. Again, that's very. It actually makes it even scarier looking with the black and white in it.
Oh wow! Ernie was 6 when the outbreak happened, and my great grandmother's house was hit
Wow.
in Brandenburg. Oh my god!
Yeah, Ernie, unfortunately, we already talked about Brandenburg last week, but we definitely went into detail with the Brandenburg tornado, and that was just equally as devastating as Xenia was.
Chris says about 10 years a tornado hit Hollyco, just stripped a path of destruction down the middle of town. They made it into a park memorial. Oh, that was nice.
Wow.
That really was nice.
Now, these right here, this last one, obviously, you can see of the Xenia tornado. This is from another newspaper article. And these pictures, again, I just recently discovered. So these are some of the newest additions I got.
Oh. So I take it, see your newspaper articles, are they from, like, archive or...
They were either from Archive, newspapers.com, or the National Weather Service office. And of course, also, again, some of the websites that commemorated for the 50th anniversary, they also had these map chart websites where they sometimes did add photographs in them. So that's where I was able to find them.
Oh wow, that's
Oh,
cool. Hi,
now,
Chris.
oh, Chris is leaving?
Yeah, Chris is off to finish driving. Great show so far. Ernie
Thanks,
says it
Chris.
was much smaller community than Zenda, or the death toll would have no doubt been higher than.
Absolutely. Now
So sorry to
these
hear
are
that.
now these are probably the most famous photographs of the Xenia tornado. That's tearing right through the heart of the town.
Oh God, I look at the first picture and how in depth the picture is.
Yep. Pretty scary looking, very intense. And that's got to be just only a couple 100 feet away, because that photographer, he is close. Just imagine how windy it's got to be, and just imagine the roar it's making.
Something like that. I can imagine that the roar's a lot louder. I can imagine see as you go up tornado, like if obviously when you get to an F5, I can't imagine the sound
Yeah.
how loud it is.
They often say that it's a type of sound that, because I've heard it myself, because again, we've had some close calls. I can tell you from experience that it's a noise that once you hear it, you'll never forget it. It's just an unforgettable noise. Now, this is when it was going, once again, these are caught from the sidelines of when it was going right through going through the heart of downtown Xenia. And it's amazing to see like where it's going right through Xenia, and all these houses right here are left completely untouched.
That's a fascinating thing about tornadoes.
Oh, now these right here, these are probably the scariest pictures of them. And this is not the only two. I got more ahead. This is where you see really the true dark side of it, basically the monster side of it.
Oh my God.
Up close and personal. Look how black it is.
It's almost like having a huge eclipse.
It very much does, and it also at times even looks like a giant cloud of smoke. I mean, you can just see it looks just like a boiling mass, like a monster, like something that's almost alive.
Alison can see spirits in them.
That's what I've seen her comments on that. I've noticed. Yeah, it's interesting of what she said about it. It's even more crazy to think. I mean, just look how bright the sky is around the tornado, and you have this giant black mass right there.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I see where Allison is pointing at. Look right here to the left of this on both photos. Does that look like a face almost?
It does. It does.
Like eye dentures, a nose, even partially a lip.
It does, yeah.
Didn't even notice that. I could see where Allison is coming from with that. Again, it could be just coincidence, but that's still interesting. Now, this is the final photo from this same photographer. This is the scariest one of them all, undoubtedly. Jeez. Now, this is when it's really cutting on the edges of Xenia. I basically took all the images, found all the images of the tornado I could find. But yeah, these are just terrifying photos. Now it's like more like a blackish bluish mass. Just has a very ominous color. Now this one, I'm not sure why this was. One is in color, the other is in black and white, but still, it just has that's definitely a wedge.
I really like the second picture.
Yeah, that photo is like a nightmare.
I was actually going to say that. You've taken the words out my mind.
These photos right here, if you remember, Lois, I showed these last week. I thought these were the one that hit Kennard, Indiana. They're not. I found out from the Super Outbreak page. These are all the Xenia tornado. So once again, showing these from last week, which I mistakenly thought was Kennard.
Oh, yeah, I can remember the photos.
Yep. Now now I think these are the last collection of photos I have of Xenia. These I found from the Greene County Historical Society, and I've been trying to get a hold of these photos for many years. And when they had these for the 50th anniversary, I immediately copied them, just so, even if I didn't have a slideshow, just so I could finally have copies. Because before this, the only time I ever saw these photos were in at least 2 different documentaries. So it's great.
Look at the bright side. You've got all this stuff for next year.
Exactly. And who knows what I could find next year.
Do you know what? See, as years go on, and this is not just about like tornadoes, this is about everything in general. See, as years will go on, Nick, you will find more and more information about such events like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Just incredible photographs, though.
They really are good photographs. I love looking at photographs like this.
Oh, these are some pretty intense ones once again. This is when it's just growing. Oh, I actually meant to have them in the opposite direction, but that's totally fine. But yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah,
they'll notice.
Just ripping right through downtown Xenia. I think these are the last 2. Well, actually, no, I think there might be one more slide. Just absolutely incredible.
They're breathtaking.
Oh, now I said before that apparently that the Xenia tornado was also filmed by somebody else. This is that footage, though it only runs for about 9 seconds, because obviously you can see this is from an ABC News video. There is no sound to this video this time, so you don't have to worry about it. But this is the supposed other recent discovered footage of the Xenia tornado. But like I said, it only lasts for 9 seconds, so here it is. Okay, yeah, that was part of a compilation, so that's why it said Louisville in the end, which we're about to get to next in just a few minutes. So now, upon exiting Xenia, the tornado passed through Wilberforce, heavily damaging several campus and residential buildings of Wilberforce University. Central State University also sustained considerable damage and a water tower that was toppled. Then, after being on the ground for 39 minutes, the powerful twister weakened before dissipating in Clark County near South Vienna and Plattsburgh, traveling a little over 31 miles. About 1,400 buildings, roughly half the town, were heavily damaged or destroyed. Damage was estimated at $100 million, $471.7 million in 2013 dollars. The impact of the tornado on the city of Xenia issued both emotional and physical damage. During the initial moments of the tornado, many feared for their own lives, as well as the lives of their families and friends. Cincinnati reporter Polk Laffoon noted, in all, 9 people lost their lives during those first few seconds before it even did a fraction of the damage which made it so famous. A total of 32 people lost their lives in the tornado, and about 1,150 were injured in Xenia, several of whom, as I mentioned before, had took proper shelter. So now the same parent storm that spawned the Xenia tornado later spawned a weaker tornado in F2, northeast of Columbus in Franklin County. The F2 tornado caused damage to 20 homes and destroyed a home along with 3 barns along its 5-mile path. The tornado then abruptly dissipated northeast of New Albany. Now, this is where I'm sure this is something I know Ernie's going to know all too well about. A few minutes after the F5 tornado began its reign of terror in Xenia, meanwhile, back in Kentucky, about an hour after the Brandenburg tornado, the same supercell spawned an F4 tornado that's formed in the southwest part of Jefferson near Cosmosdale, nearly 40 miles from Brandenburg in Louisville. National Weather Service meteorologists couldn't see the tornado on their radar, but they know from what radio reports that storms are heading their way. The radar showed that the spot that passed over Brandenburg was heading directly toward Louisville, and they put out a warning for the city. That afternoon in Louisville, Dick Gilbert, a helicopter traffic reporter, is in the sky covering the daily traffic for WHAS AM radio, the local emergency broadcast station. Gilbert, a former Air Force pilot, also flies the helicopter. Then, at 4:37 p.m., Gilbert spots a funnel above Louisville. The F4 tornado formed over Standiford Field Airport, home to an office of the National Weather Service. WHAS-AM broke away from its regular programming shortly before the tornado struck Louisville and was on air live with John Burke, the chief meteorologist of the National Weather Service's Louisville office at Standiford Field when the tornado first descended. John was standing in front of the window and goes live on WHAS-AM radio as the tornado approaches. Burke then quickly backs away from the window, which I'm going to play. I got that recording. The tornado touched down the Kentucky Fair and Exposition Center and destroyed the majority of the horse barns at the center and part of Freedom Hall, a multi-purpose arena, before it crossed I-65, scattering several vehicles on that busy expressway. The huge funnel touches down at the state fairgrounds south of the city, then heads direct for downtown. WHAS TV and radio use Gilbert's aerial warning to alert people to take shelter. Because of Gilbert's broadcast, thousands of listeners take shelter. Forecasters on the ground are stymied by their incomplete radar picture. But from his vantage point in the sky, Gilbert can report a blow-by-blow of the tornado's path. WHAS TV and cameraman Burt Roman grabs his camera and runs for the roof, capturing the tornado on film. The storm roars through just east of the central business district of Louisville, then swings northeast and begins smashing the suburbs. Dick Gilbert followed the tornado through portions of its track, including when it heavily damaged the Louisville Water Company's Crescent Hill pumping station, and gave vivid descriptions of the damage as seen from the air. Electrical power had been knocked out to a substantial portion of the city, the radio station became a clearinghouse for vital information and contact with emergency workers, not only in Louisville, but across the state of Kentucky, due to its 50,000-watt clear channel signal and the fact that storms had knocked numerous broadcast stations in smaller communities such as Frankfort off the air. The station remained on the air delivering weather bulletins and storm-related information until well into the early morning hours of April 4th. The tornado then heads straight for northeast Louisville. The F4 tornado continued its 22-mile journey northeast, where it demolished most of Audubon Elementary School and affected the neighborhoods of Audubon, Cherokee Triangle, Cherokee Seneca, Crescent Hill, Indian Hills, Northfield, Rolling Fields, and Tyler Park. Numerous homes were destroyed in residential areas, including a few that were leveled. Residents surveyed their neighborhoods, stunned at the damage a tornado can do in just 15 minutes. The tornado ended near the junction of Interstate 264 and 71 at 4:57 p.m. And that footage I was telling about that Burt Roman captured, here it is. Here's the footage.
2 seconds.
Yeah, let's check out the comments.
Ernie says, we stood on our back porch and watched as the tornado touched down near Terry Road and Johnstown Road in Louisville. It grew quickly into a monster near the Louisville airport. And we've got
some Twitch viewers. This is new.
Yep. Meta Pumper and Jeannie Capone. So
So this footage, unfortunately, this is not the best quality. This was uploaded like about 15 years ago, so it's not the best, but it was the best I could find, and it's only about a 35-second clip. I know there was more time to the footage, but again, despite my constant searches, I just couldn't find. But like you said, maybe in the future someone will up a more clearer quality of this. But here is the footage that was captured by Burt Roman as it's heading directly into the downtown area of Louisville.
That's not got any sound, has it, Nick?
There's no sound in this one. Again, I know it's not the best picture quality, but again, it was the closest I could find for the footage. It's, again, impressive footage too, though. Going right into downtown Louisville. Okay, now here are some actual photos of the tornado. This was obviously the wall cloud that gave birth to the Louisville tornado. It was, again, another very intense photo. And I believe this was taken by the same photographer. This is when it first touched down. And pretty scary photos once again. So, and then there's not as many photos to the Louisville tornado compared to Xenia. But here it was once again going through downtown Louisville. And this is probably when it was on the outskirts. This tornado also kind of debunked an urban legend that tornadoes can't strike downtown areas. And this certainly proved the fact that they could hit anywhere.
Well, I was just going to say, tornadoes can... I don't believe in that one because tornadoes can strike anywhere at any time.
Exactly. If the conditions are right for them.
Oh, God, yeah.
Now this, I don't know if we're going to have enough time, but I think this might be, this along with the other slide is probably going to be the last because I know we are running out of time. This is, I'm going to start off with this. This is a WHAS news footage that I found. This was when they were reporting the tornado, not only after Brandenburg, but also when the Louisville one was found. And then I also have the audio recording, which I'm going to play afterwards. And then we'll wrap up then for today. So I got 2 video clips. And also, before I do play that, I got to remember, I got to switch over. Yep, Ken Rowland. That's correct. Yeah. I just saw your message. Okay, no problem. It's like, I know exactly what you're saying. Anyways, I got to share the screen the opposite way that I did before, so that way you can get the sound on it. So here,
that's pretty good, Allison, that you can see that.
Okay, so now let's get this footage of Ken Rowland. Now, Ken Rowland, sadly, he passed away almost 4 years ago now, so he's no longer with us.
Please.
But prior to this, he was on a couple documentaries regarding the super outbreak. But yeah, this was him broadcasting. Here we go.
Jefferson, Bullitt, Oldham, Henry, Shelby, and Spencer counties in Kentucky. A pair of tornadoes were indicated by radar at 15 miles south and 10 miles southeast of Standiford Field at 7:12. They were moving to the east-northeast at 50 miles an hour. This means that they were seen about 10 minutes ago. We repeat, a pair of tornadoes were indicated by radar at 7:10 p.m. at 15 miles south and 10 miles southeast of Standiford Airport in Louisville. These tornadoes are moving to the east-northeast at 50 miles an hour. If threatening conditions are cited, be prepared to move to a place of safety. To report a tornado or other severe weather, place an emergency call to the nearest law enforcement agency for relay to the National Weather Service. The police department has just called WHS-TV, speaking for the water company. They say that the water supply in Louisville has fallen to a dangerously low level. This is because of the tornado that went through Louisville late this afternoon, crippling the water company operation in the Crescent Hill area. So you're asked, please do not use water. Please do not use water now until the water supply can build itself up again, because right now it has fallen to a dangerously low level. Please do not.
I love the way he tells the use.
John Petrovich has been out in the area. We haven't really had time to talk to him ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. So what I find out from him right now is what you're finding out. But John has been in the hardest hit areas in St. Matthews and in the Crescent Hill area and in northeastern Jefferson County. John, what do you know?
Well, I've been out into the field 2.5 hours, and from the ground, and not from the air, but from the ground, it's sure tragedy in some of the 6-class cities and some of the subdivisions. Starting with the farthest point east, we have Northfield, the city of Northfield, which is bounded by I-71. Alone in that subdivision, cameraman Kerwin Fisher and I counted 40 homes leveled, brand new homes that were leveled.
Expensive homes in that I-71 and Waterson Expressway area, aren't they?
Pieces of homes were lying on the interstate, shingles, roofs. Walls were caved in, bedroom clothing, furniture was scattered all over. People were combing through their wreckage. People were coming into their homes from work. No injuries in that area. When we were in there, people were helping one another. Firemen from the various volunteer fire departments were going from door to door. St. Matthews police departments were going from door to door. As we proceeded towards town, again, the same story in other cities and other subdivisions. Indian Hills, again, following the dip, following the curvature of how the tornado came, you have the same problem. Homes leveled, flattened, partly destroyed. The Ruth Dunn Elementary School, which is off I-71 and Brownsboro Road, was partially destroyed. Walls were caved in. Going further down into Indian Hills, again, the same story. Subdivisions partially lost.
Pardon me for interrupting you, John. A funnel cloud has been sighted moving northeast from McNeely Lake. That is out in extreme southern, southeastern Jefferson County. A funnel cloud has been sighted moving northeast from McNeely Lake. Please be on guard in those areas and, if necessary, take a place of safety in a basement or wherever you can. A funnel cloud has been sighted moving northeast from McNeely Lake. This is just moments ago.
Two late developments that happened while we were leaving. First of all, county police have set up barricades and blockades off of Brownsboro Road, the Indian Hill area, the Northfield area, to prevent looters from coming into the area. There were reports that looters were going into the area. Police blockades have been set up in that area to keep people away. Fire departments are going around and turning off gas lines. You can literally hear the gas coming from the ground in some of these homes. Very volatile situation, keeping them away from there. We talked to Dr. Donald Thomas from General Hospital, who was manning one of the emergency centers on Pennington and Brownsboro Road at the Second Presbyterian Church. He told us 30 minutes ago that General Hospital had 40 people in their room. One was serious in the operating room. And as of now, in terms of death count, he knew of 2 people that were killed because of the tornado.
That is at General, or does he mean citywide?
Citywide.
All right.
Citywide. And he has no contact with Suburban Hospital or other hospitals. There is no communication. But from what he is told, Suburban is chock full with people from injuries.
Right, and other hospitals are too. Do you know whether any deaths came from that area that you're talking about at I-71 and the...
No. From looking at it, there should have been.
Right.
From looking at it.
Now, US 42 and Chenoweth Lane, were you in that area?
No.
All right, it was hit pretty hard.
Right, and that's strictly Indian Hills, Mockingbird,
right.
In that area. That
right.
was, in terms of total devastation, it was included into what we saw, and we could see, when you're looking over on the hills from subdivision to subdivision, you can see flattened homes or partially destroyed homes. Second floor is gone. Mm-hmm. People walking around, combing through the rubbish, saying they were lucky. The people were calm, surprisingly. No mass hysteria. They're just walking around and trying to recover and recoup what they've lost.
This is one of the worst things, I believe, since Topeka, Kansas, many years ago, as far as the metropolitan area is concerned. And, of course, Cincinnati was hit. I mean, it's just almost unbelievable, the area that this is hit.
The mobilization's unbelievable. For an hour, all you could hear were sirens off of I-71, constant shrill, as people walked to and from the house.
John, we're planning a special at 9 o'clock. I mean, that's our plan now. And, of course, you'll be back with us then.
And we'll have film.
With report of, and the film of what John has seen will be on at that time. As we've said, a murderous battery of tornadoes has smashed into wide sections of the South and the Midwest today, killing more than 20 people, causing extensive damage and injuries, and many of those injuries and a great deal of that damage has been right here in Louisville and Jefferson County and across the river in Clark and Floyd counties, up at Madison, Indiana, up in the Seymour and Brownstown area, and others. The National Guard has been called to duty in the stricken areas. And in Indiana, a spokesman at National Guard headquarters in Indianapolis said that the National Guard is assembling in Indiana at 6 armories. They're New Albany, Madison, Salem, Seymour, North Vernon, and Monticello. In case you didn't hear us before or just tuned in, there was a tornado cloud funnel was spotted near McNeely Lake just a few minutes ago, and it was moving northeast. And if you live in that area, please be on guard. Also, a bulletin had come in of a tornado warning being in effect until 8:15 tonight. That would be for the next 45 minutes for persons living in Jefferson, Bullitt, Oldham, Henry, Shelby, and Spencer counties. A pair of tornadoes indicated by radar at 7:10 at 15 miles south and 10 miles southeast of Standiford Field in Louisville. These tornadoes would be moving to the east-northeast at 50 miles an hour. It would probably be this cell that caused that funnel cloud that we reported just a few minutes ago in the McNeely Lake area. It would perhaps be in that cell. That's all that we can tell you right now. Also, that the police department has asked that no one use any water. The Louisville water supply has fallen to a dangerously low level. The police department, speaking for the Louisville Water Company, said do not use water at this particular time in Louisville and Jefferson County, please. Bert Broman is here with me, and Bert, of course, was on our 6 o'clock news. You perhaps saw him at that time. Bert was up in a helicopter and saw most of the damage from the air. And, Bert, I understand that we have some film. Is there anything you want to say before we start this film?
No, I think the film will pretty well explain itself.
All right. If we can roll that film, and Bert will tell us where we are.
This is Seneca Park area, I believe.
You might be able to see better on that big monitor, Bert.
You know, if you'll notice, most of the damage, the debris from the damage, is lying all in one direction. The trees all lying like sticks laid out, like pickup sticks.
This is going northeast through Crescent Hill, now, right?
Crescent Hill.
Yeah.
The damage I thought was bad here. When I first saw this, I was really surprised. I couldn't imagine that it had done this much damage over this wide an area. But unfortunately, it got worse as we went. There was a definite pattern starting at Crescent Hill out to the Indian Hills area. The pattern of damage definitely got much worse the further we went. This is still, I think, generally the Crescent Hill area.
Mm-hmm.
That house is just torn apart.
Trees, power lines down.
On the opposite side, other houses are completely untouched.
Sorry, we changed shots.
This is the reason we don't have it.
It's amazing how tornadoes jump.
Yeah, this film was only about an hour and a half.
It followed the
really
basic
didn't have time
rules,
to edit it properly,
as you would expect it
I think it gets the
It will
point
hit
across.
one house
I would only
and leave the
remind
next
people,
one right next to it
in the areas
completely
of any possible
not a
tornadoes
scratch
at this point,
on
for
it.
heaven's sakes, take it seriously. After seeing this
Now
film,
you're really seeing
seeing
the
what I
worst
saw
of
a
it.
few hours ago, I know I'll take it more seriously from now on.
It always happens someplace else, and tonight it happened in Louisville. Where are we headed now?
I can't place
toward the Indian Hills area?
Yeah, I can't place it exactly, but it is out in the far eastern part of the city, and I think you can see by the lack of houses, and the amount of debris that the damage is worse. And the further you go, as I say, the worse it gets. Some of the homes damaged, I understand, were in brand new subdivisions and very, very expensive brick homes.
Wow.
These weren't a bunch of frame homes or inexpensive. There's a power line down.
There are power lines down in a great many areas of the county, and they're high voltage lines, too. Go ahead.
This is getting out more toward the Indian Hills area.
Oh, my God.
Not panicked, but seemed to be bewildered. They didn't know quite what had happened. Here you can see the amount of debris, and to do that much destruction, it just had to be a tremendous force. And it, as you notice,
I was looking at that debris and going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Trees just denuded and
snapped right off at the ground line, just like they were nothing.
Wow.
I kept having these visions of like a public service announcement of some disaster in India or something. It was kind of hard to realize that this was Louisville, Kentucky.
This is the Northfield, I believe, near I-71 and the Waterston Expressway.
Yes.
Now, these are all new homes in there, and that is the film that we have at the present time. Anything else, Bert?
No, I think we'll have some more film later in I think the film speaks for itself.
We plan that special now at 9 o'clock, and of course we'll be seeing you then, and have it in a more compact, perhaps a more intelligible way. But you did a wonderful job on it, just getting the film just out of the processor and putting on. There have been approximately 11 deaths in Indiana that we know of.
That's fine.
Actually, the only identity that we have is an 84-year-old woman, Nimmy Watt of rural Cortland, Indiana. That's in the Seymour area. They say she was killed when the mobile home where she lived alone was destroyed by a twister. 8 persons have been treated at the Jackson County Hospital. Extensive damage in the western part of the county. At 6 o'clock, we gave you, of course, that there had been some deaths reported in Charlestown. There had been some deaths reported in the, I've forgotten the town, right north of here, Hamburg, Indiana. We had a report there that there were 2 dead and 90% of the town had been destroyed. We have had a couple, this was an Associated Press report. We have had a couple of calls, however, from people who say they've been through Hamburg and they don't think that it's that serious. We certainly hope so, because all the other reports have really been worse than we thought. Hanover, Indiana, very seriously hurt. Madison, Indiana, very seriously hurt. They've called the National Guard out in all these areas, and in the Washington County area, and of course in Clark County and Floyd County. We'll have this special on at 9 o'clock, and in summing up, just let me say this once again. A tornado warning is in effect until 8:15 this evening for persons in Jefferson, Bullitt, Oldham, Henry, Shelby, and Spencer counties in Kentucky. A pair of tornadoes were sighted by radar at 7:10, 15 miles south and 10 miles southeast of Standiford Field in Louisville. These tornadoes would be moving to the east-northeast at 55 miles an hour. One was sighted near McNeely Lake just about 5 or 6 minutes ago. We'll see you at 9 o'clock. Please take care.
So I got one final video, and then we're going to end it here because, and this I got to give credit to Ernie for.
WHS TV Louisville.
He told me about that, again, that radio report with Dick Gilbert. I'm not going to play this full video because this video is actually an hour long. So I'm only going to play probably about the first 10 minutes of it because this is probably the most notorious part of it anyway, with Dick Gilbert following, and also when John Burke was recording and was on the air when the tornado struck his office area. Not sure. Wait a minute. Okay, hang on. I don't know what happened there, but let's try that again. Here, hold on a second. I don't know what's.
Oh, you're fine, Nick. You're fine.
That was quite interesting, though, right?
Right, it was really interesting. Especially that the aerial view of the destruction, and you could just see. Excuse me.
Well, 1 second here. For some reason, I could have sworn that I had a copy of it before. Hey, let me check to make sure if I had it.
That's all right. It's fine. Take your time.
See here. Okay, you know what? Here, this will just make it a lot more easier for myself. Aftermath. Okay, aftermath. Okay. No, wait, that's not it. Okay, okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because just to make it, because I do have to end things right afterwards. I'm just going to play it from YouTube instead, just so that way I can show it in some way, shape, or form, because I don't know where the copy went. But like I said, I got to give credit to Ernie for this, because he told me about it last week, and I've heard this recording. Oh, shoot. Hang on 1 second. Okay, here we go. Can you see me, Lois? Or I just froze
there.
I
can see you.
Okay, it freaked me out there for a second because I saw I was freezing up. So yeah, what I was saying though was I've heard this recording on documentaries before, but then Ernie told me that they had the individual recording itself. So I looked it up and there it was. I mean, I couldn't believe it that they had it now officially available from WHAS radio. So I'm getting that up right now. So bear with me for just another second here.
You're absolutely fine, honey.
And like I said, we're just only going to watch or listen. Damn it. Hang on a second. I always hate it when
technology,
No, it's just that it freezes up, and I hate when it not cooperates with me. Oh, damn it. Okay, here we go. So let's try. Hopefully you can hear it. Hopefully you can hear this one too. And
I'll tell you.
Like I said, we'll just only watch a few minutes of it.
So to bring us up to date on just what the situation is here in Louisville and why. John, I think for Louisville right now we are under a tornado warning. Is that correct?
That's right. Since 3 this afternoon, we have a hook echo on the radar about 20 miles southwest of Louisville, moving northeast about 45 to 50 miles per hour. Now, this storm will move through Jefferson County in a northeasterly direction, and reports have indicated up to this time that this is a tornado. We've had reports from Hardinsburg. They saw it there. We saw it at Irvington. It's headed in our direction. So generally, people should take precautions for the next 20 to 30 minutes.
Can you pinpoint, John, the direction that it's going, or will it be, would you say, south of the Ohio?
Looks like it'll blow right through the Jefferson County, Glenn. I feel now that the way it's headed, it's going to track from about 240 degrees from southwest of Louisville to the airport. I just hesitate to say any specific areas of the county, but I just feel that she's going to blow right across the county.
Okay, let's do that again, John. A little sound, a little reader there. All right. Can you pinpoint, John, the direction it's going? Will it be, would you say, south of the Ohio?
Looks like it'll blow right through Jefferson County, Glenn. I feel now that the way it's headed, it's going to track from about 240 degrees from the southwest to the airport. I just hesitate to say any specific areas of the county, but I just feel she's going to blow right across the county.
A little bit earlier, we had one for the southern Indiana counties along the river up through Madison. What is the situation there?
Well, we had a big cell that went up across Harrison County. We had 6 reports of tornadoes from Harrison County about an hour ago. That moved on northward into Indiana. We had a number of reports of tornadoes over there. But then the past 10 minutes, we've had a report from the Dow Corning people just above Carrollton that they saw a tornado across the river in Indiana. And about 15 minutes ago, a gentleman from Bedford, Kentucky phoned us. He was looking out of his window and gave us a blow description of a tornado. He said it looked like it was trying to form a twin headed northeast toward Milton.
Dave Reeves just handed me another report, 6 miles west-southwest of Brandenburg, close to Midway, a tornado near U.S. Highway 60. So there again.
John, could you give us quickly some safety rules, people in their homes, what they should do?
At this time, the best thing to do is to get your portable radio so you can stay tuned to the radio station, head for the basement, southwest corner of the basement, if possible, get under a workbench or some sturdy piece of furniture. If you have no basement, you head for an inside room which has walls that are not too far apart, hopefully with enough support above you that nothing will come down on top of you. Those in mobile homes and whatnot should hopefully can find some shelter outside of the mobile home. Mobile homes are very vulnerable to this type of activity. Now, I don't want to get people over concerned. I just know this excites people to a great extent, but nevertheless, they should take these reasonable precautions and not get overly excited because they would hear it coming if it did come in their direction. The noise associated with these is very loud, so they should hear the noise associated with these storms. But by all means, I would certainly suggest heading for shelter, which is, let's say, the basement or an inside room during the next 45 minutes to an hour, and take the radio along so you can stay on top of this.
John, we'll let you get back to the radar screen. Thank you much.
Okay, Glenn, you're welcome.
Jeff?
Okay, Glenn Baston, chatting with the chief meteorologist, is that what we call him? And John Burke, and bringing us as the complete update picture on the weather situation, and of course more as it happens right here on WHAS. Thank you, Glenn, and it's 4:18.
I'm gonna fast forward just through the commercial break so we don't have to wait too long. So I'm just gonna fast forward.
Hudsonville, where you dine in elegance, see a Broadway show offer one low price. Dick?
Well, we do have a pretty wild and rugged weather picture on our hands here, so be prepared for it as you're driving. The pavements are wet now. throughout the driving area. I haven't made it out to the extreme northeast corner yet, but the rest of the picture has wet pavements all the way, lightning and gusty winds, and sprinkles and bursts and gusts of rain here and there. So watch it, and traffic is starting to slow down, as you might expect it would under these conditions. Westbound on the Waterson, we have very heavy traffic. It looks like a morning situation. Starting back at at Taylorsville Road, and it's running very slowly and heavily to the top of the hills. We got over near Poplar Level. Eastbound, we're tightening up back at Taylor Boulevard and running heavily all the way out to Durrett Lane. The southwest, I couldn't get out in the extreme southwest on Dixie Highway and out in the Pleasure Ridge Park area. The weather looked a little bit suspicious out there. So you folks out there have to be on your own for a little bit. But the outer loop around the Kentucky Turnpike looked pretty good, and Preston is still doing a nice job. No delays over a block long at any of the lights there. Southbound on I-65, starting to slow down now at the Horse Barns, running a bit heavily out to the Waterson interchange. Drive carefully. Dick Gilbert, Skywatch 84.
It's Broadway Tonight, now playing at the Georgia Theater.
We will work now, getting it. And I just can't help believing. A lot of people leaving their work now, getting into cars. And let me briefly review the weather situation. There are severe thunderstorm warnings for a good portion of this area, including Metro Louisville and southern Indiana. But more importantly now, we have a tornado warning, which includes all of Metro Louisville and surrounding areas. This is a warning. It will be in effect until 5 o'clock tonight, so be on the lookout, be on guard. We reviewed the rules, suggestions for what you should do if you should spot a tornado. You might be a good idea to, keep a lookout. There have been numerous sightings in and around the area of tornadoes. Not trying to alarm anyone, but we want you to be aware of the situation and know that, should something happen, you can take cover. Now, we are told that tornadoes make a good deal of noise, so you'll probably hear one if if one is around. And like I said, keep an eye out for tornadoes, at least until 5 o'clock. We'll have updates until then from the Weather Bureau and Weather Service. Righty? Okay, we'll continue with music. From Joe.
Speaking of Jefferson County, they say the tornado is moving in a path directly north. At this time, people in that area should take cover immediately. Again, Jefferson County Police report a tornado sighted at Terry and Greenwood in southwest Jefferson County. People should take cover at this time. Take a portable radio with you if you can, and keep posted on the weather. We might, at this point, while we have this tornado sighted in Metro Louisville, go over some of the safety rules that you can take at this point to protect yourself from any damage. In a home, move to a basement if possible. The southwest corner is probably the safest, offers the greatest protection.
This was the last time where they said the southwest corner of the basement was the safest area, which, people don't do anymore, obviously.
No.
In a factory, move to an interior section which offers the greatest protection. If you're in open country, as you might be in southwest part of the county, move away from the tornado if you sight it at a path at right angles to the tornado. If there's no time to escape from the winds, lie flat in the nearest depression, such as a ditch or ravine. Again, by Jefferson County Police, a tornado sighted Terry and Greenwood in southwest Jefferson County, just slightly west of Shively. It's moving toward the north. If you live in that area, be prepared to move to a place of safety right now. Take cover. We'll be back in just a few minutes with more information.
Okay, let's just do that one more time, where it was spotted, so that people won't, panic about it. Where was it?
It was sighted at Terry and Greenwood, which is in the southwest part of the county, and it's reportedly moving directly north at this time.
All right. Thanks again, Chuck. Okay. All righty, it's 4:28. We are trying to keep you up to date.
I would say right after 5 minutes, we'll end it here. We're getting to what's considered the most chilling part of the recording when I mentioned about John Burke.
All this weather information, and we will continue to do so until the situation is entirely past. Okay? Okay, let me remind you about something else here. This is about Sexton. The home insulation people. They remind you that to insulate your home, can mean to save a lot of energy, particularly during this energy shortage. And it also means that you can probably use your home better. In other words, it'll be, warmer when it should be and cooler when it should be. Sexton has been in business for more than 11 years in Louisville, so no matter what the insulation problem they find with your house, they've seen it before. They know how to handle it. Perhaps your upstairs at home is warmer in summer and colder in winter than the rest of the house. That may mean you need to have the attic checked for proper insulation to this, and I hope maybe you will. 9-6 could go over, and we will. Taking an interior hallway or lower floor, preferably in the basement. Now, in factories, if you should receive a tornado warning, post a lookout. Workers should move quickly to sections of the plant offering the greatest protection. In open country, move away from the tornado's path at a right angle. If there is no time to escape, lie flat in the nearest depression, such as a ditch or a ravine. If you're in your home, seek inside shelter, preferably in a tornado's cellar, basement, or steel-framed or reinforced concrete building of substantial construction will offer the best. Stay away from windows. Some tornado safety rules. Let's see what it looks like from the air with our traffic tracker, Dick Gilbert. He is a service of Louisville Trust Bank. Dick?
Well, I'm out over Oxmoor Shopping Center now, the Watterson and Shelbyville Road, and checking out the eastern quadrant here. Flashes of lightning now and then, and there's light rain on the bubble. All of the pavements are wet. Traffic is very heavy, and it's slowed down significantly, as you might expect under these conditions. The Watterson, for example, is already very heavy, both east and westbound. Westbound, it looks like a morning situation. We're tightening at Taylorsville Road, and it's running rather slowly westbound all the way over into the Poplar Level area. Let's see here. I don't actually physically see any tornado activity at the moment, but it does look highly suspicious down there beyond the Iroquois Park area and out in the southwest. So that appears to be the area that's affected at the moment. All in all, I know of no specific accidents and so forth. The wet pavements, strong gusty winds, I can certainly testify to those. So be extra careful, particularly on bridges and overpasses. Dick Gilbert, Skywatch 84.
Sports happens on April College. Call
service. I understand you've got the. Okay. John Burke is on the phone, and he
is here with a phone call. Chuck.
Okay. John Burke is on the phone, and he is about to leave the Weather Service. I understand.
What you're about to hear is going to be pretty chilling.
And you've got the tornado sighted.
A tornado, but here comes the wind. We're hitting winds up to good gracious sakes alive.
How high is the wind speed at this time?
There's 50 right there. By golly, the whole thing's going, hit, I'm going, come on.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my God.
Scared the hell
John
out
Burke at the National Weather Service office at the airport. Apparently the tornado activity over there at this time. We'll be checking back as soon as he can get back into that area.
What did he mean by I'm going? It sounded almost like the wind was at the Weather Bureau. Is that what
John was telling me before we got on that he was going to have to get out of there quick.
Oh, I see.
And apparently he got out of there quicker than he wanted to. We've had tornado activity over southern Louisville at this time in the airport area, and I would suggest that you take cover immediately if you're in any of the factories or in any of the areas there. And Jeff, I would appreciate it if one more time you could go over those tornado safety rules for people.
All right, I certainly will. All I've got to really do is find them, Chuck, which might just take a second. You sort of caught me at a loss here.
In that case, we'll go over what we have right now.
Right.
Tornado warning in effect for Metro Louisville, Jefferson County, and primarily at this point, the tornado activity is over the airport. That's in southern Louisville, and anybody in that area should take cover at this time. John Burke at the Weather Service reported a visual sighting of it, and he has taken cover at this time. And I think it would be wise if anybody in that area would move to an interior hallway of their home. If they have no basement, go to the basement immediately. Take a radio with you if you have one. And if you're in a factory, move to the strongest part of the factory, the most strong construction, and for all purposes, stay away from windows. Here's Jeff with the safety rules.
Let me see if I got this straight before you run off, Chuck. I apparently didn't understand you, and I don't want to, press the point, but I was a little confused. Was the fact that they were having difficult weather at the Weather Bureau itself?
Definitely. He said he had cited the high winds and that it was just a matter of a few moments before he felt there would be a tornado there. And apparently at this point, there is a tornado at the airport. Perhaps Dick Gilbert could check in and tell us what he sees at this point.
Well, okay. Dick, if you're up there in Skywatch 84, what can you add?
Before we end things.
Well, apparently he might be on another frequency or something. Let me go over these rules here.
Okay, good. Maybe Dick will check back with us.
They are important. Seek inside shelter, preferably in a tornado cellar, basement, or steel-framed or reinforced concrete building of substantial construction. Stay away from windows. In homes, the corner of the basement toward the tornado, usually the southwest corner, generally offers the greatest safety. People in houses without basements will receive some...
I'm going to fast forward just a minute because this is when Dick Gilbert, this was the other infamous part of the recording. So this is when he actually spotted the tornado. And then, yeah, like I said, we'll end things there.
At this time, other than the fact that people in the Louisville area should take cover.
Okay, and on that, our lights in here begin to blink.
Oh, geez.
Okay, Bob, I appreciate
That must have been so scary.
when you get information right on the air.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can contact our traffic tracker, Dick Gilbert, in Skywatch 84 for a report. Dick?
Yes.
Okay, can you fill us in anything more on what you can see from your vantage point?
Well, it's a spectacular sight. The low clouds, very black low clouds. Let's see. At the moment, they're just about over Bowman Field out at the Taylorsville Road area. And it is swirling around, and it looks like smoke underneath it. There is no real tight, definitive tornado as such. It's still turning in a large... Yes, there's one now. Started, yes, dipping down from the bottom of the cloud. And let's see, that will be over in the Highlands and probably along Bardstown Road and somewhere in Parkway where I guess that is. The power transformers have been blowing irregularly in the path of this thing, big, large explosions of blue-white light that help to clock it pretty well. Now, it's clearing up very nicely behind it. As a matter of fact, just south of Standiford, it's clear. I can see all of the hills. The Iroquois Park area is just about out of it now. But it is definitely moving up toward the Crescent Hill water tank now, and I'm starting to get some strong, very strong gusts way out here on Bardstown Road near the GE plant. That's the way it looks to me. Be very, very careful. Dick Gilbert, Skywatch 84.
That's an incredible recording. And Dick Gilbert...
That's really cool.
Ernie just mentioned another comment saying the horse barns are no more. Unfortunately, we do have to cut things because I'm actually running way later. But I'm gonna end this on this note with the slideshow because this is a good way to end things for now. I forgot to show this earlier, so I apologize for saying that. We got these coming up, but here's where we're gonna end it. So as a result of this tornado, 900 homes are destroyed beyond repair, and thousands of others were damaged from the tornado that was on the ground for more than 20 minutes. Cherokee Park.
Nick,
yeah.
Nick,
What's
you
up?
can't see the slide.
Oh, shoot. Hang on. I hate when, see, it said it was sharing. I don't know why it didn't. Okay, let me try this.
Sorry, Nick.
No, it's totally fine. I'm glad you let me know. Okay, so one final time.
Let's start this for the top.
Yeah. So no, I
can see it now.
900 homes are destroyed beyond repair, and thousands of others are damaged from the tornado that was on the ground for more than 20 minutes. Cherokee Park, a historic 409-acre municipal park located at Eastern Parkway and Cherokee Road, had thousands of mature trees destroyed. More than 200 residents are injured by the F4 tornado. Incredibly, I forgot to put something on that. It was supposed to say, incredibly, only 3 people died. Many credit Dick Gilbert's live reports for saving so many lives. He was definitely considered a hero that day. That no doubt about that.
He certainly was.
But as we end things, because obviously it looks like we're going to have to make a part 3, but I will like to leave it off with this. The rest of Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, and Ohio will not get the benefit of Gilbert's broadcast. So, and Not long after the tornado dissipated, a secondary storm that had developed further down the line had followed the Louisville storm. The storm produced a much weaker tornado north of Ballardsville. Although the tornado was only an F1 this time, the path width was similar to that of the first event. It would go and carve a 31-mile path, longer than the Louisville tornado, across Henry and Owen counties. 18 were injured as a result of this F1 tornado, but no one was killed. The tornado dissipated just to the southeast of Bromley. Okay, so I think we're going to end it here. I went over I went overtime, but you know what? Sometimes when you have such a really good show like this, it's totally worth doing so. And Ernie, he made. Sorry, what were we going to say, Los?
That's because we're the dream team.
And Ernie's absolutely right. He is definitely a legend down in Louisville, no doubt about it at all. So, so it looks like we're gonna have to do a part 3 next week, of course. That famous line that Dick Gilbert, I couldn't find that line, through the comments. I'll try to find that next week. I'll just play a sample of it from that radio broadcast, and then we'll move on to the other tornadoes. But I just want to say, first of all, Lois, thank you for being a part of it, and
you're very
being a part
welcome.
of this
Thank
real
you for
special
having me.
show. And everybody who's in the chat, and of course Ernie, thank you so much for giving your, for telling me about this and being able to have this in the slideshow. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Like we said earlier, there's not going to be a To the Grave and Back episode tomorrow like we normally would. That's correct, though, right, Lois?
Yep, that is correct.
Okay, so yeah, but I will be back on tomorrow night for Supernatural Talk. Lois and I will also be back on The Frighteners on Friday. And also, I'll be a guest this upcoming Friday on Spooky Japan, with Irene and Amanda, which I'm looking forward to. But like I said, we'll pick up from next week. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Again, thank you, Ernie. Thank you, Allison. Everyone that's tuned in. We really appreciate it. So until then, I'll either see some of you guys tomorrow for Supernatural Talk, but if you want to wait till part 3 of for the Super Outbreak, we will see you guys next week. You guys all have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye.